There's a place where the wind doesn't just rustle the leaves, it speaks. A place where the trees seem to shift when you're not looking, and shadows stretch longer than they should. The locals call it the Whispering Woods, and those who enter either never come back or they return, but they're not the same. For decades, people have told stories about the woods just outside of town. Some say it's cursed, others claim it's haunted. The one thing they all agree on? No one goes in after dark. But not everyone listens to warnings, especially when curiosity gets the best of them. This is the story of a group of friends who ventured into the Whispering Woods and found something waiting for them. It started as a joke. Danny, Sarah, and Mike had grown up hearing about the woods but never believed the stories. They figured the rumors were just small-town superstition, meant to scare kids into staying close to home. So one night, armed with flashlights, a couple of cameras, and way too much confidence, they decided to prove everyone wrong. The plan was simple. Walk in, explore for an hour, and come back with proof that there was nothing to be afraid of. But before they even stepped past the tree line, something felt off. The air was heavy, too still for a forest. No chirping crickets, no rustling leaves, just silence. Mike laughed it off, saying it was just our minds playing tricks. But then they heard it, a voice, faint, whispering their names. At first they thought it was just the wind, but then it happened again, closer this time. A hushed, urgent whisper weaving through the trees. Danny spun around, shining his flashlight between the trunks, but there was nothing there. Sarah clutched Mike's arm. "This isn't funny," she said, but Mike swore he wasn't messing with them. Then Danny's flashlight flickered. The beam dimmed, flickered again, and went out completely. The other flashlights followed, plunging them into darkness. That's when the whispers grew louder. It wasn't just one voice anymore. It was many, dozens, maybe hundreds, overlapping in an eerie, breathy chorus. Some were urgent, some pleading, others laughing. Then the ground beneath them shifted, not an earthquake, something else. The roots of the trees seemed to writhe, pushing up through the soil like fingers reaching for their ankles. Mike cursed, grabbing Sarah's hand. "Run." They bolted, but the woods didn't make it easy. The path they'd taken in was gone. The trees were closer together now, their trunks twisting unnaturally, as if they were trying to trap them. Sarah screamed. Danny whipped around to see her frozen in place, staring at something in the shadows. A figure, just barely visible between the trees. Tall, thin, motionless. And then it stepped forward. The figure wasn't human. Its limbs were too long, its movements too fluid. The face, or what should have been a face, was shrouded in darkness, except for two hollow, gleaming eyes. It reached out, fingers stretching unnaturally, and the whispers turned into a deafening roar. Sarah collapsed, clutching her head. Danny grabbed her arm, pulling her up. "Move!" They ran, faster than they ever had in their lives. The whispers chased them, the figure gliding through the trees like a shadow, always just a few steps behind. Just when their lungs felt like they would burst, the trees thinned. The edge of the woods was in sight. They sprinted toward the open field, diving into the grass, and then silence. No whispers, no movement. The forest was still again. They didn't speak on the ride home, didn't talk about what they'd seen, what they'd heard. But later that night, as Sarah lay in bed, she heard it, a whisper, from the corner of her room. And this time, it said her name. If you ever hear whispers in the woods, don't listen. And if you see something watching you, run. Subscribe for more terrifying stories that'll keep you up at night.